Long before the echoes of European ships resonated across the shores, Africa thrived as a land of vibrant cultures, mighty kingdoms, and intricate societies. Yet, like many chapters in history, Africa's story also bears the weight of slavery, a practice deeply embedded in the fabric of everyday life. In ancient Africa, slavery wore many faces. Prisoners of war, captured during brutal conflicts between kingdoms, were forced into servitude. Others, crippled by debt, found themselves bound to repay their creditors through lifelong labor. But amidst the harsh realities, there were glimmers of hope, paths to freedom, social mobility, and even influence. Beyond the scorching Sahara and the Sahel regions, trade routes pulsed with life, connecting Africa to North Africa, the Middle East, and beyond. Berber and Tuareg traders of Morocco, Algeria, Libya, Tunisia, Niger Republic, Mali navigated treacherous landscapes, exchanging gold, salt, and textiles for human lives. Enslaved Africans were transported across deserts, destined to serve in opulent households or toil in mines and farms. In West Africa's mighty empires, Ghana, Mali, and Songhai, wealth flowed like the Niger River. Gold, salt, and ivory fueled the engines of trade. But slavery also played its part. Enslaved people toiled in fields, markets, and palaces, their labor weaving the very fabric of these kingdoms. Yet, within these societies, some slaves found avenues to freedom or even rose to positions of power. Further south, kingdoms like Congo and Ndongo, a powerful empire that stretched across present-day Angola, the Democratic Republic of Congo, and parts of Republic of Congo wove slavery into the very fabric of their societies. Enslaved individuals served as laborers, warriors, or advisors, their lives governed by customs and laws that varied from place to place. On Africa's eastern coast, city-states like Kilwa and Zanzibar thrived on trade with Arab merchants. The ocean's current carried more than just spices and textiles. They also bore the weight of human cargo. Enslaved Africans sold into a vast network that spanned the Indian Ocean. Slavery in Africa was a complex, multifaceted beast shaped by war, trade, tradition, and survival. Some enslaved individuals found a sense of belonging, even status, within their communities. Others faced unrelenting hardship, their stories etched in the annals of history. So you see, before the arrival of Europeans, Africa's story was already one of diversity, resilience, and complexity. But then, there came the Europeans. The arrival of European ships on Africa's shores marked a turning point in the continent's history. It was the Portuguese who first established trade relations with sub-Saharan Africa in the 15th century. They landed on the coast of Morocco in North Africa and later made contact with the Kingdom of Congo, which stretched across present-day Angola, the Democratic Republic of Congo, and parts of the Republic of Congo. Initially, the Portuguese traded for valuable commodities like gold, ivory, and spices. They exchanged goods such as cloth, guns, and other manufactured items for these precious resources. The Kingdom of Congo, under the rule of King Zinga Nkuwu, was one of the first African kingdoms to engage in trade with the Portuguese. As time passed, the Portuguese interest in Africa shifted from commodities to human cargo. The demand for labor in the Americas, particularly in Brazil, led to the transatlantic slave trade. The Portuguese began to trade with African leaders for enslaved people, often forming alliances with local rulers to gain access to prisoners of war and unpaid debts. One notable African leader who resisted the slave trade was King Afonso I of Congo. He wrote to the Portuguese king complaining about the impact of the slave trade on his kingdom and requesting an end to the trade. However, his efforts were largely unsuccessful and the slave trade continued to grow. Other African leaders like the rulers of Dahomey, a kingdom in present-day Benin, Nigeria, became powerful players in the slave trade. They would capture people from neighboring kingdoms and sell them to European traders in exchange for goods like guns, cloth, and other valuable commodities. The transatlantic slave trade became a massive enterprise with millions of Africans forcibly transported to the Americas. The Portuguese established forts and trading posts along the African coast, including the infamous Elmina Castle in present-day Ghana, which served as a hub for the slave trade. Brazil received some of the earliest shipments of enslaved Africans, and the demand for labor on sugar plantations and in mines drove the importation of enslaved people. Other European powers like the British and French soon followed the Portuguese into the slave trade, establishing their own ports and trading posts along the African coasts. Now that you understand how slavery originally began in Africa, it raises important questions about our ancestors, those who in some ways contributed to the conditions that allowed slavery to thrive on the continent. Next, in our series of the transatlantic slave trade, we will explore the rise and eventual fall of slavery in Africa. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you are the first to know when the next episode drops.